Hi everyone, my name is Winfield Zhang, and my Coursera project will be about the role of knowledge in animal testing debates. So, just a little bit about myself. I'm currently a computer science major in my fourth year here at UC Irvine. And before I proceed with the presentation, I just want to apologize beforehand because I am a little bit sick. So, throughout this video, I'll probably be coughing a lot, so hopefully it's not too distracting. So, we can go ahead and get started here. So again, my presentation is about the role of knowledge in animal testing debates. So just a little bit of background information regarding animal testing for those that aren't that familiar with the topic. Animal testing is a form of scientific experimentation performed on live animals for a plethora of research purposes, including but not limited to human biological and disease research. So a lot of the diseases that humans face are ultimately resolved through cures because of animal testing. A little bit of a lesser known fact, animal testing is also used in analyzing the safety and environmental impacts of consumer products, for example, chemicals and household products, as well as pharmaceuticals. So a lot of the consumer products, such as shampoos and a lot of hair products, go through animal testing to ensure that they do not have any negative impacts on human health. The most commonly used animals for animal testing include mice and rats, but can also include larger animals such as cats, dogs, as well as monkeys. And finally, animal testing remains as one of the most morally contentious debates in many countries around the world. So why exactly is knowledge important in animal testing debates? Well, here I've provided a quote from Professor Pritchard's book on skepticism, and it says that the reason why knowing involves more than just believing is that one can form one's beliefs in all kinds of inappropriate ways. For example, a lucky guess. So ultimately, as scholars, we should strive to root our beliefs in a particular topic in sound knowledge and understanding of that topic. And specifically in the case of animal testing, it is important to absorb yourself in knowledge of both sides of the arguments for or against animal testing prior to becoming a proponent or adversary of animal testing. So the reason why knowledge is so important, as Professor Pritchard mentioned in his book, is that it is very easy for us to have a belief in something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have knowledge and understanding of that subject. So when skeptics or when fallacies come around, it's important to surround ourselves in knowledge of the subject so that we aren't easily swayed by fallacies or by skeptics, so we don't jump back and forth between our beliefs. So here I've provided a couple of pros of animal testing just to kind of develop a better understanding and better knowledge of the good sides of animal testing. So very quickly, animal testing has contributed tremendously to many discoveries of treatments and cures for diseases such as malaria and Alzheimer's disease. So as I mentioned before, animal testing is incredibly important for basically biological research. Going on, human bodies and organs are incredibly complex. Consequently, animals are used as test agents because their anatomies are relatively simpler and because they have shorter life cycles. And as mentioned previously, many consumer products, such as cosmetics and healthcare products, are first tested on animals to ensure safety so that they don't have any negative impacts on human health. And finally, animals also benefit from animal testing. For example, millions of animals would have died from diseases such as rabies if it weren't for vaccines that were tested on animals and proven to work. So these are just some of the pros of animal testing and why, I guess, some of the reasons why people would support it. And on the flip side, here are some of the cons of animal testing. So first of all, animals often face cruel and inhumane treatment. For example, force feeding, long periods of physical strain, as well as neglection in a lot of animal testing facilities. Secondly, animal testing is a very expensive and time-consuming procedure, and some may argue that it is a waste of governmental research funds. Many also argue that, it's common for many animal testing experiments to end up unsuccessful, which leads to the loss of life for the animals that were tested on. So this is a pretty big determining factor for a lot of people when they basically either support or go against animal testing. A lot of it has to do with the animals' lives and how what impacts it has on their lives. And finally, there are many alternatives to animal testing that could provide just as accurate results, such as in vitro testing. And for those that aren't familiar with in vitro testing, it's essentially testing on human tissues as well as organs. So instead of animals, we're using physical human tissues and cells. So, just a quick summary since time is almost running out. Knowledge of both the pros and cons of animal testing allows us to root whatever beliefs we have with deep understanding so that we are not easily swayed by fallacies and skeptics. And even though knowledge demands truth, it does not necessarily demand certainty in our beliefs. So, for example, in regards to animal testing, we can still be uncertain about which side to take. But as long as we have the understanding and have the knowledge, then eventually, whatever side we end up taking, we'll be able to support it with facts and not be easily swayed by other people or by other fallacies. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.